Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and welcome to another Rockfin exclusive. Even though we may put portions of this on YouTube, if we're still on YouTube by the time this interview ends, because we do know that James Corbett has now been taken down. I have Pasta on, and he's done such great work with the Convo Couch over the years, but has really been so expansive in that work and really the network that he helped create and now has evolved into the Me Casa Su Casa network, Nico House. You see Action for Assange and Sloan Newsday, and really birthed out of this movement of accountability in our elections. Something that, again, one of the reasons I didn't want to stream on YouTube, as one of the videos they took down and didn't strike me with 4 days ago, was my first time in DC in December when I left the hotel and just did basically an hour-long thing where Antifa confronted me. I went where the Proud Boys were. I interviewed Cara Castronova. I interviewed Riss Flex. I interviewed Enrique Otario. And, I never said I had evidence of anything. And they didn't strike me for it, but they took that down. So, we're walking on eggshells here, but here's a guy that doesn't like to walk on eggshells either. And I want to shout out Stephanie T for a big old Tipsky and Hutch over at the Rockfin, which is the platform of the future. I've been able to move almost 15,000 people there. Give me another 48 hours before you kick me off YouTube. It will be 15,000 mother truckers. I guarantee it. And, this censorship is now ramped up so much, Craig, from the time that we first met just months ago in person, right?
Yeah.
To where we are today. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's it's beyond wild. And I remember that week or that it wasn't a weekend, was it? It was a weekday, or I can't even remember.
Yeah, I believe it was a weekday. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in for the weekend for the other days of action with Force to Vote and Action for Assange. And I'm actually waiting for a knock on the door now, JB, waiting for Steve Poikonen to come rolling on in as we're having another action over here in LA this time. It's kind of cool that we're doing it here to fight back against the censorship that we've been feeling. And it's been thrusted upon us. I mean, we're not at your level right now. We're just demonetized, meaning we can't make any monetary gains. And you've been there since, I think, April of last year almost, you told me, if not a couple months after. And now they're just going with the machete chops at you guys. Yesterday on our show, we had on Ryan Christian from Last American Vagabond. Man, wow. I mean, what an amazing interview, dude. That guy is just so great. But, I mean, him and your guys' work has been so influential to us over the Convo Couch and the things we do. We obviously came from the activist side on the streets with the activists, started with the Bernie Sanders movement. It was all about getting people off the streets, out of homelessness, getting them the Medicare they need. You know what I'm saying? Saying if we have enough money for bombs, why can't we have enough money for healthcare? Stop with the oil and the drilling and the fracking. And, and now since then, I've actually become a vegan. Something I'm trying to tell you guys to come be, say like that. And it might seem insane, being that you love chicken wings and beer and stuff like that. But then there's the whole what's going on behind the scenes. Who's really pulling the strings? Let's go deep. Let's go down these rabbit holes. And with you yourself, Jason Burmis, and the Last American Vagabond, we went down some rabbit holes, and it really has shaped our whole way of thinking. We're at odds with a lot of the activists we started in the streets with, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't even think about our civil liberties. They don't understand how it affects us in this world of censorship that we were warned about, not just about the military-industrial complex by Eisenhower, but he also warned about the technological elites that will be coming to as well. And now it's upon us. So I keep asking these questions every day. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? What's the end game from the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain? Who's pulling it out? And that's why I matriculate to you, my friend. And that's why they've shut you down. That's why they shut the Last American Vagabond down. You're talking about 48 hours. I'm giving them about 3 weeks, 3 months before they completely pull. That's the over-under I'm setting right now, before they completely pull the plug. And we're off of YouTube. We're at 13,000. We're coming up behind and stuff like that on Rockfin. But that's where it's at. It's at the Rockfin Revolution. And I know I'm going off, I'm calling crazy and stuff like that because, we have the fuck censorship movement. We've merged it with the Action for Assange. We have some anti-war activists coming in, Jay, and we're just going to build this rainbow coalition, and we're going to keep working it across the board. and we're going to have the conversations with those activists in the street that used to think a certain way, and we're going to get them to see a little bit of this, and we're going to come together, and we're going to build the FOSS.
Well,
so thank you for having me on, brother.
Well, to speak to the activism part, right? You know, Andrew from Action for Assange is somebody I also respect greatly. And rumor has it, who knows if it's true or not, but he alluded to the fact today he may be on Tucker Carlson to talk about the Action for Assange movement. Now, I want to explain to people why that's important. Just like Pasta talked about taking real activism, Andrew has not only done so in the virtual realm like you've done, but got in boots on the ground. Whether there's 5 people there, 15, 50, 500, when he's in the middle of that Trump rally, he gets that megaphone. Now it's 5,000. Now it's 15,000. Whether that's supposed to be his audience or not, that's taking action. I don't have to agree with all of Andrew's politics or your politics, and that's where I think people really don't get it. They still want to play ball on a side. Like right now, you know, people have really tried to put me into that alt-right box. And I'm not all right. I believe a lot of the things you said. I do think that we should at least get basic medical attention, especially for our taxes in this country. If we can print money for bombs, are you kidding me? We should have accountability to the military-industrial complex and the intelligence community. We should have accountability in our voting system. It's not hard. It's simple arithmetic. We learned it in the 4th grade. Like we went up to the numbers in the 4th grade as far as it goes. Into the millions, where adding and subtracting happened. We were capable of this with paper. Again, when I tell people, I'm like, you got to think about this. The biggest kind of voter fraud we had back in the days of Kennedy was ballot box stuffing. Now, with technology today, it would have been easy to root that out like that, fix the problem, and marginalize it to such a degree, we would have had the most integrity-based elections ever. What did they do? They went in the other direction and gave you a dozen different loopholes and ways to change the results of an election, whether it be fractional voting or glitches in the system that flip your votes. It's, getting rid of votes that should be valid. Now, no voter ID, mail-in ballots. I mean, they've taken a fist and they've rammed it up the ass of American citizens, whether they're blue or red or whatever, libertarian. I don't identify as any of that. And again, you really started to come alive during 2016 during the Bernie Sanders movement. So tell people about that, where you shifted to wanting to be boots on the ground because that was an important issue. I think it's important people to hear that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell the story. I love telling it because it really is, I look at it now and it's 2021 and I'm like, holy cow. I'm a political commentator, journalist, analyst. That is, my life is totally different. It used to be so involved in the restaurant business, and I first moved to LA. I wanted to be I was a wannabe actor. I just wanted to do commercials and small roles in movies or little TV shows where I got paid a shit ton of money and nobody really who knew I was and stuff like that. But I was living cool, whatnot, and play a lot of poker and that's it, and watch sports and bet and gamble, and that's it. That's all I wanted to fucking do.
You wanted to indulge in basically the celebritard infotainment society that they immerse us in. And listen, I'm not knocking you for that because I think we all do need those breaks. That's what we're really fighting for. And they've taken those things away from people, and that's some of the carrot on the stick to get back to normal. Oh, you want to go to the ball game? Excelsior Pass. Continue.
I got to tell you, though, I did have a nice balance of the two because I was that guy in high school and sophomore year. I stopped playing football to concentrate on being a thespian. In fact, yesterday, out of the blue, I saw my drama teacher from high school who retired yesterday do some retirement video of sorts of a little cool hip hop video she did. And I called her out of the blue to say, hey, thank you. And she goes, Craig, I can't even believe where you are today and what you're doing. This is just mind-boggling and stuff. But to fast forward to, okay, I wanted to do that in society. That's what I was ready to do. But then I started getting involved in 2016. I always had a knack for politics. I understood politics, not deep the way I do now, and gone down these rabbit holes and researched and connected the dots. But I had a basic understanding. But around 2016, 2015, I was in the restaurant business, and I was a corporate manager. I was a training coordinator, and I would get in front of people and I would train waiters and I would train bartenders and train managers. I was the best at it. I did it well. Somebody said to me, like, hey man, you have such a passion for politics. You know, the way you talk to all these waiters and train them and teach them, maybe you can teach them politics. I said, I don't know. You know, I can't do that. I'm too, you know, like I don't have even had any college degrees. Whatnot. Like, no, but a lot of people get lost when they hear all these people who pretend like they know everything, just like the stock market. They act like you have to go to them like they're the experts, and just give us the shtick on a basic level. You know what I'm saying? A regular guy level. So in 2016, we started getting out in the streets, and then obviously I met Fiorella in the restaurant business. And we actually felt, Jay, that it was a sense of duty, like, you know, a responsibility we had. We're like, there's no independent media out there really that's covering these grassroots candidates that really have a lot of great things to say, that have shown themselves the boots on the ground, all the activism. And at the end of the day, I told you this before, Jay, it's like, I'm very conflicted because the same people that I'm knocking heads with, that I think they're so dangerous because they're driven, that they're not paying attention to the math you talked about. They're being driven by their emotions. And the CIA, deep state, whoever's pulling the fucking strings right now because of American society can use emotions to direct people in a certain way. And that's where their politics are. Mm-hmm. And that's where these people are. Their emotions get in the way. They're taking the pictures on Instagram with the vaccine together. It's mind-blowing. You know what I'm saying? They don't pay attention to foreign policy. They don't pay attention to where the money's coming from, the apparatus. But yet, these are the people that I love so much because they're in the street feeding homeless people on a regular basis, driving around with a shower of hope, getting homeless people showers. You know what I'm saying? When people are getting evicted unjustly and stuff like that in the middle of the pandemic, they show up in front of their house with signs, whatnot and stuff. So there is this confliction of what is going on. But going back to being that person in the street, me and Fiorella thought we needed a responsibility. So we started bringing that to light. We found guys like you and Ryan and whatnot that were talking a different language. Steve Poikin, Action for Assange, Slow Day News, all these people that are on Rockfin now, that we're all Rockfin family right now. You know what I'm saying? Combined with that activism and understanding people on the streets that have really come from poverty, immigrants coming from other countries in the global South, hearing their story, and be able to combine that together. And that's where we're at today. But that's why I think it's so important that we, the Convo Couch, do stuff with you guys and Ryan Christian. And then we also talk to conservatives like Eagle Ed Martin, whatnot. Yeah. And we show, hey, despite the fucking politics, we're humans, we're Americans. We need to get together and figure this shit out. And the thing that they're not figuring out, that I think a lot of you guys have figured out, and it's really hard to pinpoint it, is like, who's pulling the strings? Charles Barkley said it the other day. All these guys up top, they want us to hate each other, fight each other. We don't live in their neighborhoods. They run off with all the resources, and there it is. Mm-hmm. So that is the long version of the how we came, the evolution of the Convo Couch, and how I'm sitting here with you today and stuff like that. What's going on, celebrating the fact that Andrew might be on Tucker. That would be amazing and stuff. And I know a lot of people would say, oh, how can he go on Tucker? He's a racist. Like, listen. We got to get this information out. We got to talk to people. We got to stop pointing the finger and saying they're racist. We got to stop pointing the finger and saying they're communists. We got to stop pointing the fingers and just talk to each other.
Listen, I'm a lover, man. And, I try to work with as many people as possible, especially if I think their heart's in the right place. I also think if they've done a good piece of art, aka a documentary or an article, that doesn't mean I have to ride or die with everything they say, but it's something that I want to share with people. It's another tool in the toolbox. Even Alex Jones, one of those strikes that came was from that interview with Alex Jones. Huge audience. And I think one of the most powerful interviews he's actually done in the last several years, because we weren't talking about Clockwork Elves. And when we talk about emotions, yesterday when they took down my channel, it was really crazy because this was on a video that had nothing to do with COVID whatsoever. It was actually talking about transhumanism, and it led from this newly available mount for your brain chip that allows you to wirelessly access a computer screen. And then I was talking robot dogs, and then I also talked about a new patent where AI that will interface with your brain chip will actually give you therapy. It'll be your therapist. So the whole thing's about a transhumanist agenda, and I'm telling people they should be human. I think I discussed that we're going to be doing a maskless Mother's Day picnic here in Iowa, as there are no mandates. Everything is a suggestion. We're going to be spending big money on it. We're encouraging people to come down. And this was the excuse they gave to take my channel down. And again, an hour later, they didn't retract it. All of a sudden, everything was just back to normal, and I had 2 strikes. I never got an email. They said this: YouTube doesn't allow content that explicitly disputes the efficacy of local health authorities. That's new. Local health authorities is now new. Or World Health Organization guidance, ready? On social distancing and self-isolation that may lead people to act against the guidance. In other words, they're telling people, if you don't tell people to now isolate or social distance at all causes in all walks of life, you've now gone against their policies. So if I tell you, Craig, haven't seen you in a while, but if I could hug you through the screen, I do it. That's against the policy. If I would encourage the person that's filming this, Johnny on the 1s and 2s, to go over and give you a high five, that's against YouTube policy. This is insanity, man. And this is where we're at. And that's why the fuck censorship movement is so important. So you've got stuff coming up literally tomorrow and the next day. Tell people about it.
So tomorrow we're doing a panel. Like I said, I'm waiting for a knock on the door at any second right now to Steve Poikonen come walking in with Sleepy Josh. And they're obviously doing the Action for Assange movement too as well. On Sunday will be the actual protest and rally. We're starting at noon, and it's going to be a couple hours. We're going to march down from Sunset and Gower, which is the CBS building is, and march down to the CNN building through the streets with the megaphones. We did this in D.C. about on St. Patty's Day. And it was amazing, too, because on St. Patty's Day, when we were marching, there was about 60 of us. And I was at the front of the march with a bullhorn, and Andrew was at the back of the march with a bullhorn. And we were just playing off each other. We were yelling out, "Free Julian Assange." We were yelling out, "Fuck CNN." We were all of it, "Fuck censorship." But that's what we're going to do. We're going to take it to the streets. And the reason why we chose April 11th, the Action for Assange crew, is the 2-year anniversary of when Julian Assange was dragged at the Ecuadorian embassy in Great Britain for a deal with the IMF, a multi-billion-dollar deal with the IMF, the price of a person. They dragged him on out, and he's been in Belmarsh prison ever since. So this is the 2-year anniversary, and we chose that day. But once again, we are combining it with the Fuck Censorship movement. And on the 10th, which is Saturday, tomorrow, we are going to have a panel in a restaurant in East LA. And we've invited local press to come, local podcasters to come, that kind of thing. Not local authorities that are going to say don't socially distance. But yeah, I know, right? It's crazy, stuff like that. These are the things you talk about that are just, and I said this to Ryan yesterday. I said, I watched some shows of yours, some shows of JB that are entertaining as hell, but then scare the shit out of me at the same time, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the F? Like, and the thing about it that's so frustrating is these other people we try to convince, they don't even hide the information. It's right there in front of your friggin' face. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, tomorrow we're going to just have a panel and we're going to talk about it. Now, we're also bringing in an anti-war movement, JB. Mm-hmm. Rachel Brunke, our friend, the Cold War Commission and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We're trying to do, everybody's been talking about this general strikes, right? And they say with general strikes, people talk about parties, they get in the way. Parties screw everything up, right? So, all right, let's get it away from parties. Let's get it on issues and bring people with issues together and get them together and get in the streets.
Hey, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that segment of our interview with Craig Pasta Jardula of the Convo Couch. The rest is available for free over at the Rockfin exclusively. So go make that free account right now and check it out. Thanks, guys.